our region's business, improving our economy, creating jobs, and strengthening communities. Innovation, collaboration, transformation, and the people making it happen. Join us as we take a closer look at our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, no matter how trade negotiations turn out between the U.S. and China, we'll find out why it may just be the beginning of a rivalry 500 years in the making. Plus, a startup based right here in our region brings augmented reality to simulation training for healthcare professionals. And Junior Achievement's big bid to improve career education here through a new BizTown in South Fayette. But first, Asia Ascending. That's the title of a new book by a Pittsburgh lawyer and author who maintains that the current trade dispute between the U.S. and China is simply a sign of things to come. Dennis Unkovic is back with us. He's international law partner with Meyer, Unkovic & Scott in Pittsburgh and author of Asia Ascending. Welcome. Good to have you here. Welcome back.
Good morning, Bill. Nice to be back.
Yeah, let's start with the title of the book, Asia Ascending. Why did you choose that title? What's happening out there that makes this the appropriate?
30 years ago, nobody knew or cared much about Asia and China. Today, you will find over the next 50 years, the future of the world is going to be dominated by the size of the economy over there. You've got 1.3 billion people in China, you've got 1.1 or 1.2 billion people in India, and a lot of other folks. And so while Europe, after World War II, grew along with America and dominated the world economy, it's changed. Asia is ascending. Factually, Asia is now there, and that's why I wanted to write the book.
Yeah, but it's clearly more than a numbers game, because they've had 1 billion plus people for that whole period of time. What's begun to happen that suddenly has made them the force they appear to be emerging to be?
China made a bet in the mid-1980s that they would no longer be a centrally controlled economy. The deal was you, private industry within China, can do whatever you want as long as you stay out of politics. So China grew between 9 and 12% over a period of 30 years. To put that in perspective, if you grow at 8.5% per year, over 8 years, you double your economy. So how many times has the Chinese economy doubled? And India has grown more slowly, but it too is growing very quickly.
India didn't make the same bet at the same time toward
really good point. The Indians for years, because they were dominated by the British, said, no, we're going to do it the Indian way. That wasn't working very well. They saw China growing and they were staying the same. So about 20 years ago, the Indians started to do a more outbound trade, and they doubled the size of their economy.
So they were late to the party, but accelerated.
Late to the party, but they're beginning to catch up.
Yeah, so where does that put us? I mean, China, my gosh, is 4 times the size of just the United States. Obviously, North America as a whole is a little bigger than that, but 4 times our size. Clearly, there's a huge trade deficit. How likely, given the dynamics and the population and all the growth we're talking about, is it that the president, that the administration is going to be able to resolve this trade dispute that's currently underway?
Well, last year, 18, we had a deficit with the Chinese of almost $400 billion. So they sold us more stuff than we bought from them. But the problem with that is that we are so intertwined with the Chinese, our economies. If you have an Apple phone in your pocket or any of these other phones, they're all coming from that part of the world. And so the ability to force the Chinese to do anything, we don't have the power anymore. Now, if we and the Europeans got together as allies, which we're really not too close today, unfortunately, and wanted to negotiate with the Chinese, but the Chinese are now trying to be what the United States was at the beginning of the 20th century. They were moving from a more agricultural to an industrial economy, and now they're really just blowing the doors off it. If we say to the Chinese, we won't do business with you anymore, at the end of the day, the Chinese will say, okay, I'll do business with the Europeans, I'll do business in Africa, I'll do business in Central and South America. In America, you can just sit there. So we have to somehow, as a country, figure out a way to negotiate a better trade deal with them without causing dislocations. And you've followed the stock market the last couple of weeks. It's not been very favorable. And I think as a result of that, you're going to see more pressure on the stock market going down because of the intertwined nature of the U.S. economy and the Chinese economy.
But in your view, even though the Chinese, they sell a lot of stuff here, which means they need access to our market, but they don't need it as much as they once did.
Yes. It used to be if they didn't trade with the United States, their economy would collapse. But the Chinese are now looking at 2025, 5-6 years from now. They're building a railway that will go from China through the Central Asian republics into Europe. You used to have to put something on a ship in Shanghai, ship it down around India, around Africa, and eventually get up and get into Europe. Now they'll be able to do that in about 16 days once this thing is built. And so trade, as things moved, has changed. And while they were sort of landlocked, you know, and we had our strong economic sphere there. The other problem we did is, unfortunately, President Trump, in my opinion, walked away from the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That was going to be 11 countries plus the U.S., not China, that were going to form an economic bloc in Asia. By walking away with it, the Chinese have said, thank you very much. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a closer political, economic relationship with the countries in Southeast Asia, and they have. So the U.S. role in Asia, which I hope will remain important, has diminished over the last couple of years, and I think we have to somehow boost it up.
I remember 30 years ago, we seemed to be having these same kinds of conversations about Japan. We were sure, you know, given what happened in Pittsburgh here with the collapse of our industry and all the issues of foreign competition, that Japan was going to eat our lunch. I mean, that seemed to settle down over time. What's happening?
It was really simple. There are 150 million Japanese. There are 1.3 billion Chinese. And so the size of the Chinese economy dwarfs what Japan was then and what it was now. Japan will always be a strong trader. It's the third largest economy in the world. But as it comes down, China's number 2, as you know, we're number 1. But India's number 6. It's going to move up.
Fascinating stuff. It's covered in the new book, Asia Ascending, by Dennis Unkovic.
Thank you for having me, Bill. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, JA BizTab, a new approach to career awareness that's coming to our region. Please stay with us.